Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you're watching me from. Thank you for joining me again for another episode of the live question and answer session focused on answering any personal finance questions that you have or people have. If you're just joining for the first time, again, I know this is Facebook, you know me, but just to reintroduce myself, my name is Paul Alabi. I'm a personal finance coach, an expert, and I help people solve money management problems, help them achieve their financial goals, and help them achieve personal finance mastery in areas that they deem they need help with. So, with that said, let's jump right into the into the session for today. The first episode I'd gone through about 20 questions, but there were lots of questions that came into the inbox, and so I decided to have this second session just to continue from those questions because a lot of people have said, "Hey, this is helpful. Thank you for the advice." I've gotten requests of people to like get my counseling and guidance on different things concerning personal finance. And so let's continue from the question that we had last time. I participated in financial infidelity by splurging on a purchase without letting my wife know. I bought some shoes and watches with it. Although I've been making payments on the card, but I recently lost my job and cannot continue. My wife and I split finances, but now that I'm jobless, it's about to come to light. This is a situation where you went and made those purchases, your spouse did not know, and then now you're jobless. That's a double whammy, like we'll call it. Well, first things first, like I would say, you acknowledge your infidelity. So number one is have a meeting with your wife or like come to light about it and let her know what's going on. I I, I always tell couples that do this that the number one thing is to acknowledge it and communicate around it. So kudos to you as accepting your knowing that you did what you did. It doesn't mean it is right, but you accepting it and owning it is the number one step. Number two step is the both of you need to come together and understand the cost, like how much more is left on the card. Could it be 10,000? Could it be $1,000? Whatever it is, you guys need to come together on the same page and understand what is left of it. Number three, I would say that you should lay out an action plan, right? So action plan in terms of how do you now attack this. So you already acknowledged it with your wife. You know how much is left. How do you attack this, right? So do you pay for this, like in terms of your wife paying for it because now you're jobless, you have no income coming in? And what's your plan to do that? Do you give me a moment? I got it. For your wife to pay it, or you guys have savings? I don't know what your finances are. This is an instance of where I'll need to like work with you, maybe one on one, to kind of understand what is really going on. But high level, you guys have to have an action plan to pay off the debt. You have to have an action plan to pay it off. Number four is after having an action plan, how do you prevent it from the future? You said that you currently split finances with your wife. I I personally don't like splitting finances. I like joint finances, but I know people that have successes with splitting finances. What I think you should do is have an understanding, like what guardrails, if you're going to split finances, what guardrails should be in place. Because now that you said you were making the payments before, I'm not sure what your financial situation was. Like, were you making the payments and things were hard, or were you making the payments and things were easy? But I would say that your goal should be number four should be how do we avoid this from happening in the future? That's where again communication comes in. The both of you need to sit down together. And if she has also, you don't know, she might also be engaging in financial infidelity and she didn't tell you because one of the issues with splitting finances is lack of like accountability sometimes if there is no guardrail. So the both of you need to have like guardrails and figure out a way to avoid it from happening in the future. You could be having discussions about why you did what you did. It could be having expectations about what to do next time. So before you go and buy such purchases that you had payment to pay on a card, like is she okay with it? You guys being able to discuss those things will help you get to a point where financial infidelity will become a thing of the past and hopefully it doesn't happen. Okay. Second question. My family is currently going through a rough season of finances. So we are thinking of stopping our tithes temporarily to reallocate money to other pressing needs. Since you're a believer, I know you may not agree, but have you been in such a bind and ever thought about what we are about to do? Oh, absolutely. I've thought of, I know the feeling. And yes, I pay tithes and offering, and it's a lot of money every month that I pay for tithes and offering. So I definitely appreciate the fact that you know that I may not agree with that. And yes, when you think about how much, like when I think about how much my family pays in tithes and offering, it's a lot of money. It's more than a mortgage. We pay a lot of money in church. But like you said, right, I don't believe in that. Instead, there was one thing that one of my mentors told me about how to view tithes. He said tithes and offerings are not expenses. So like if you have that mindset, it helps me. Like I would say, oh wow, man. I remember when I was broke and trying to pay off my debts, I definitely thought about stopping paying tithes and offerings and then like using the money towards paying debt. But I just believe it's not worth it because you're giving to God, right? That's how I feel. And as a Christian, I believe that tithing is very important and very paramount. So if you think that, I think that you can figure out other ways to get the money without like cutting your tithe and offering. I've been in a situation where, one is broke, one needs money, and then the best option you're thinking about is to cut your tithe. But please don't do that. I personally will not do that, even though I've thought about it. It's okay to think about it, but thinking and doing are two different things entirely. So you can think about it and just move on. But I hope you come out of that situation together very soon. Question 3. I'm single and live alone in Nigeria. My income is about 6 million a year. Oh wow. What types of financial advice would you give me? Sorry, what types of financial advice would you give to me since I'm about to start my career and wanted your advice on how to make sure I get it right? Oh, okay. So I'm guessing your income, when you say 500, when you say 6 million naira a year, I'm thinking that's like your gross income. You can reply to me and let me know if you think I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, you can make a comment. And then you're asking, I guess you're about to start your career, so maybe this is just your first salary. What advice to make sure you get it right? Well, whenever it comes to starting a new career and making such X amount of money, a couple of things I always like to start out right is, number one is get clear on your net income. So is the 6 million naira a year your net income or your gross income? How much of that are you going to bring home? That should be your number one basis to think about. How much of the 6 million are you bringing home? Number one. Number two is have a budget. Absolutely. Of course, you're not going to talk about that, right? Like when I say budget, I mean, how would you spend this money you're making in a month, right? You have to determine what your expenses are because you say you're single and you live alone. So I'm thinking, are you paying rent right now or you're living with your parents? And you said you're about to start your career. So I'm not sure, like maybe a new job or if it's your first job, are you living alone? What are your plans? That's where you need a budget. After having a budget, the number three advice I'll give to you is pay yourself first. Ensure you pay yourself first. You have to have financial goals. So what financial goals do you want to have? You want to start saving, investing, building assets, whatever it is, have financial goals. And number 4, I would say avoid debts as much as possible. If you are just starting your life and you want to get it up on the right note, avoid bad debts. To know the difference between bad and good debts, check my YouTube channel for more context. I would say that those 4 things are the initial platform you need to rise. Number 1 is get clear on your net income, which is also your spending power. Number 2 is have a budget. Number 3 is pay yourself first. Number 4 is avoid bad debts. Once you start all those things, you are able to create that new foundation, that platform, that beginning for you to be able to get to that goal of becoming financially free and making sure that not only do you start well, but you also sustain your progress. I'm excited for you. So congratulations. I look forward to hearing more about your progress. You can keep me posted, send me messages, and I'll definitely respond to you. Question 5. Hello from Canada. I was jobless for 2 years, racked up credit card debts and loans. Now I am trying to pay them back, but I'm in a bind. I don't know where to start from. I don't know where to start from. So you're jobless for 2 years. Yeah, I understand that. Racked up credit card debts and loans. Well, I'll say number one, congrats on you trying to pay them back. You always want to have that mindset. I'm really happy that you're not even thinking about bankruptcy or thinking about, ways to just like avoid it there. So that's good. You're definitely going to be up a serious hill. I know you're in a bind, but what I would say is don't give up. You can't give up. Always remember that you can do everything, but not give up. It's okay to feel depressed. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to mourn your situation, but you don't have to give up. So I would say that number one is congratulations and don't give up. Number two is, get clear on how much debt you are owing right now. You have to understand how much you're owing. So you said you have credit card debts and loans. What kind of loans do you have? Personal loans? Is it mortgage? I don't know what your loans are. Whatever loans you have that you need to pay back in the last 2 years, I want you to get clear on how much they are and understand their term, not their terms. So are you going to have to pay interest on them? Are you currently like on the interest forgiveness? What's the terms of the loans that you have, right? And then after getting clear on the amount you owe, number three is you have to think about what your current expenditures are right now, right? So it seems like you probably have a job right now because you're trying to pay them back, right? So, how much are you currently spending right now? Have a budget? Are you living well below your means? Based on that number 4, pay yourself first. Use the surplus from your budget, use the surplus from your income to pay off the loan. You have to pay the loan back, right? And so, when it comes to paying off debts and high debts like this, you have to think about the outcome. Like, what's your desire? To be debt-free, to be free? That's what's going to keep you going, because this is going to be a long and arduous journey, and I want to encourage you not to give up. So number one is, after I said congrats and don't give up, number two is how much are you owing, right? How much are you owing? Get clear on that amount, the total amount you are owing. Number three is how much surplus do you have? What is your current spending habits? Number 4 is pay yourself first. In order for you to get to your goal of being debt-free and financially free, you have to pay yourself first and use that amount of money to pay down your debts. I don't know how much you're making in surplus, right? So that's why you need to have a good budget and know your spending habits, because your spending habits will help you determine how fast you can be free. Now, an extra tip would be, you can have to increase your income. So you've been jobless, if you have a current job, do you have one job? Can you take on 2 jobs? You have to think about how can you quickly increase your income, because you have to make up ground for what you've lost. But don't be in too much of a hurry, because it could get burnt out easily. So I want to encourage you to just keep going. I want you to keep that in mind and say, you know what, I'm on this journey, I'm ready to pay it off, and it may take me a while, but I won't give up and I'll be free. Okay. Question 5. I'm about to open a credit card, right? Question 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. I'm about to open a credit card. What credit card would you recommend I open? This is my first. I can't say what credit card to open because I don't know where you're calling from. Sorry, or where your question is coming from. Maybe in the US, Canada, UK, China. I would say when it comes to credit card, I'm not very vast in other countries, but the principles apply across. Number 1 is, why are you opening a credit card? Why are you opening a credit card and what's your goal with it? Number 2 is, how can you ensure that it's a win-win for you and the lender? So, are you planning to carry balances, or you try to pay for balances every month, right? That's the principle. Number 3 is, after having the credit card, like what perks are you trying to gain from the credit card? So even though I asked about the why, like maybe you want to increase your credit score, or maybe you want to start building credits. That could be your why. Or maybe you just don't want to be using your debit card anymore, right? What's your reason for having a credit card? Number two is, what's your plan to ensure it's a win-win, which is avoiding taking on credits more than you can afford. And number three is, what perks would you enjoy from this credit card? Make sure that there's some perks, cashbacks, maybe bonuses, maybe flights, whatever it is, try to get some perks from the credit cards. And number four is, try to look into the credit card opening process in your country. Sometimes you'll be surprised the impact of credit card, the impact of opening one new credit card can be the same as opening 5 new credit cards. I had that experience personally. So if you're already a great credit card user and you want to open new more, but sorry, I'm wrong. This is your first. So, but that's where I will stop. I would say think about those ones as you go along. Question 6. I have about 10 credit cards. Oh wow. I want to close all of them because I'm tired of carrying them and it tempts me. Are there any cons to closing an account? Have you gone through this before? Although there's zero utilization. Oh, great. I feel like there's no need to carry them again. 10 credit cards is a lot. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend closing all of them just because if you close them all, it reduces your age of credits. But I understand why you might want to close them because they could be tempting, especially if you're trying to do better with your finances. So I would say that if carrying them is a challenge, you can cut them up. Cut them up and avoid carrying them. If you cut your credit cards or dispose them, you can be free, because the idea of you being tempted, even if you don't have them with you, you can still be tempted with credit cards, right? You can open new ones. So I think the energy you have that prevents you from spending your credit cards, apply that same energy towards avoiding spending or carrying them, because it's the same mindset. Your mind is telling you, oh, now I have 10 credit cards, I want to use them. Your mind will be telling you still, if something comes up and you want to purchase it and you have the money, your mind will be telling you, oh, go open a new credit card, right? So it's the same mind. You have to have the same mindset, which is saying, a credit card is supposed to be a double-edged sword that benefits me and the lender, not only one way. So I think I agree with you that, congratulations on being at zero utilization. That's great. You don't have to carry them anymore. You can just cut them up and dispose them, and you are free of carrying them. But I like to keep my credit cards limits, right? So right now I have almost $150,000 in credit line, and that's like 0% utilization. Also, I have them, I have like 15, like 19 credit cards, but I don't use them anymore because I had them when I was in debt. But I just like to keep them because, one, it increases my credit limits, my credit age, and number two, I feel good about it, right? I look at my credit score, I'm like, oh wow, 0% out of $140,000 or $150K. That's like, perfect numbers for me. So I like to keep mine. Okay. Question 7. I have 3 cards that carry annual fees. I'm always laughed at by my friends for wasting money. What's your opinion on annual fees card? This is interesting. The interesting thing about it is I used to have like a card I had the Amex Gold card. I was paying like $250 per year to have it. I thought it was good until when the benefits were not as much as the cost. So what I would say to you is, people have different opinions, right? People say, oh, why are you paying money for a credit card, right? If the credit card is giving you a lot of benefits that you're using, it's a no-brainer. So my opinion is kind of unique because I like annual fees. I like annual fees, but I don't have one right now. The reason why I say I like them is because they tend to have a lot of benefit and the cost. The reason why I don't have them anymore is because the cost began to outweigh the benefit. So for me, the gold card is, had like a 20 bucks or thereabout credit every month, which wasn't really working for me. So for you, I like to have them if I can justify them. That's what I want you to think about. Are the benefits the cards are giving you what's the cost? So if you are paying $700 per year for annual fees, are you getting perks? Are you getting bonuses from the credit card company that is enough to justify and compensate much above $700? That's always for me the baseline. The reason why I've not opened a new card for such is because I've not been able to justify some of the costs yet. A lot of them are based on travel, and so I'm not like traveling too often these days, so I don't know why I'll keep them, right? But some people travel, right? If you're a consultant or like your company, flies you around for work, or you like traveling, absolutely. I think this kind of cards will be beneficial for you. So that's why I'm like, go for it if, as long as you keep the principles in mind. One, no balance or no interest. And two, you're making money from the cards or are making benefits. That's a no-brainer for me. Question 8. I have 3 loans: car loan, credit card, and personal loans. I want to get better with money, but don't know where and how to start. I'm owing 7K on the credit card, 4K on the personal loan, and 45K on the car. Whoo! Wow. Money management has never been my strong suit, but I'm scared it will prevent me from finding a nice spouse. Oh, so you're single. I just graduated from college. Oh wow. Okay. Wow, yes, you make 86,000. You currently owe 7,000 on credit cards, 4,000 on personal loans, and 45K on a car. That's a serious debt situation. I would say, if you want to get better with money, great. That's what I'm here for, right? So that's a good mindset to have. And I would say it's also good that you're trying to do better, but you have to start the work. You got to start the work of being mindful of your spending. So right now, you're owing 7,000 and $4,000 on credit card and personal loan. That's $11,000 on just loans without your car payments. I would say the first thing you should do right now, based on what I've seen so far, pay off those loans, credit card and your personal loan. Pay them off. You have to do what you are currently making a gross income of 8K, 86K, but I don't know what your income is, right? So if you want to do better, actually, let me take a step back. Number one, have a budget, right? What's your net number one, what's your net income? You have to know. You just told me I'm making 86K per year, right? I'm thinking that's per year. I mean, I don't know if it's per month, but I think it's per year. So 86K per year. Get clear on your spending power, which is your net income. So that's number one. Number two is have a budget. Like, how much do you currently spend right now on a monthly basis, and how much surplus do you have? Number three is plan to pay off the low loans, like the 7K and the 4K, only because the car loan, sometimes you have like a 5-year plan, so you might just write it out, but having too many loans is not good. So I would say those loans of like 7K on credit card and 4K on personal loan, pay them off. And now the next step would be to focus on your 45K car loan, right? So I don't know what your finances are, but that will be what I would do. So number one is get clear on net income. Number two is have a budget that reflects your spending capacity, and based on this surplus, pay off your first 2 smaller loans, which is credit card and personal loan. Now, after that, we can discuss how you can pay yourself first, how you can continue to build personal finance habits that ensure you remain a great money manager. Question 9. I'm a graduate student. I feel as though I'm scraping by. When you were a student, how did you keep your money matters together? Yeah, I can understand. Not only was I a student, I was also an international student. So I understand the struggles. I didn't do good, honestly. I didn't do really. I could have done way better. I had a budget which was good, but I was always sometimes blowing through my budget or having credit cards, right? So I would say that, as a student, if you're scraping by, you want to get clear again. Since I've been saying is get clear on net income. How much are you bringing in? Do you have any income? Are you working? Number two is have a budget and stick to it. Number three is pay yourself first. Even as a student, you can begin to pay yourself first. But then one thing as a student that people forget is you can take on jobs or fellowships. There are fellowships, scholarships, grants out there that give students money for tuition or like for stipend. So look into that. If you are struggling to scrape by, like there's some scholarships that are free that you can apply to, and you might get 5,000, 3,000, 10,000. Maybe I don't know what you are, like a minority or your program, you might be qualified to get a couple of stipends and scholarships. So I would say that you should think about that as your options. And of course, avoid debt. That one is a good one to avoid. For sure. All right. Question 10. What are some of the mistakes you've made on your journey to becoming a personal finance expert? Excuse me. Oh, wow. Yes. How did they shape you to where you are? Absolutely. Ooh. I made lots of mistakes. I made lots and lots of mistakes. That's why, I'm like, my wife and like my family members like mock me that I have like PTSD from like my mistakes. Yes. Which I think is fair enough because, yes, I made a lot of mistakes. My number one mistake that I had was not keeping to a budget. Number two was not even like being aware of the idea of paying yourself first and how powerful it was. Like, it was mind-blowing. So that was my second mistake. My third mistake was just mindset about just trying to keep up, right? I tried to, enjoy, like go on vacations, like go on experiences, or eat out. Like I did things I shouldn't be doing, right? Which is tied to the first problem, which was not being in the budget. I would see my friends doing stuff, I want to do it. Like I would travel, wear nice shirts, or like, buy nice shoes, whatever it was. Like I definitely overspent and had like the impulse purchase syndrome. Let me use that word, the impulse purchase syndrome. In fact, I vividly remember one time I was going to the mall, just like normal walking to the mall. And then I saw the Aldo store. I was like, let me go in here and see what they have in Aldo. I have never bought Aldo before. So I go into Aldo, and guess what? I didn't plan for it. I came out with 2 shoes. So, like, I know how it is when it comes to, like, overspending. Those are my mistakes, and how they shaped me to who I am today. Based on those mistakes that I made and how I was able to overcome them, I'm in a much more better place today. Like, absolutely. They have shaped me to becoming a better person because I know those mistakes that I made. I learned from them and I'm not avoiding them. Like now, I have a budget that helps me keep in check. I pay myself first. I avoid overspending and impulse purchase. And now that I even know better, when I overspend, I know how to bounce back. That's one thing I didn't know about too back then. So those experiences kind of shaped me. Sometimes I wish I didn't make those mistakes, but then if I didn't make them, how would I become a better, and how would I become a coach, right? So I definitely made those mistakes, and I don't know if I should be ashamed or proud of them, but I own them. Like I know what I did. I don't hide from it, and I hope to avoid them in the future. So I would say that those experiences shaped me into becoming a better person today. And I also have empathy, right? So today I'm coaching people, or when I'm coaching anybody, like I understand the struggles. A lot of my students are surprised when they hear that, oh yes, I used to overspend before. Yes, I used to have lifetime inflation. Yes, I used to buy things I didn't have the money for. Right? Like these are things that I did before and things that I wish I didn't do. So I definitely understand what you mean by saying that, how they shaped me. They shaped me well enough to become a better person today and help me to pay it forward so I can help people today better manage their money, help them achieve their goals faster, and live debt-free. That's always a good thing. 11. What is your number one money advice for retirees? Oh, what is your number one money advice? Ooh, number one money advice for retirees. I hate to sound like a broken record. Same thing. Now you're retired, have a budget. I think the idea of budgeting is always going to be like prevalent till we die, because companies with their billions and hundreds of billions still have budgets, right? They still keep the budgets with all the money that they have. So I would say, like, you can have a budget. Number one is have a budget so you can determine how your money will be spent. Always have a budget. Like, you hear me say it every time. Like, I'm going to keep saying it every time and every time and every time. Number one is have a budget. When you have a budget, you can determine as a retiree to either travel around the world or relax in your oceanside mansion, or give to your grandkids, or invest. Whatever it is as a retiree you want to do, you have to budget that amount. So I would say that's my number one advice for retirees. Question 12. Credit card asks, what lessons have you gotten from opening cards? Oh, this is interesting. Lots of lessons. Credit card asks, asks are like, sometimes overrated. Just like, I would like to call it like tips, maybe call it tips too. I would say, just be mindful. I have credit cards right now. I have like almost like 19 or 20 credit cards in my family, something. And they're all at 0% utilization. I use a tactic called, or I use a strategy called rinse and repeat, where I get a credit card, I get the bonuses, and then I dump it and I move to another one. That's number one. Number two is the impact, like the credit score reduction that I get from opening one card, I get is the same thing if I open 5 cards. So I don't open only one card whenever I want to open a credit card. I open like multiple cards at once, like 3, 5 cards. I know it's crazy. That's what I do. And so with those cards that I open, I get like bonuses, like $200 for like spending $1,000. Number 3 is I open the credit card and I spend the money I already intend to spend. So, quick example of what happened like this year, right? In December. Wow. What happened in like summer? I opened like 3 credit cards and they all expected me to spend a combined $5,000 to get bonuses of like $600. Right. That was a no-brainer for me. Now, spending $5K was easy for me because I already planned to go on vacation. I already had some bills I wanted to pay by then. So I just put those bills on credit card. And so because I already planned to spend that money, when I put those bills on credit card, I pay them off ASAP. As I'm putting the bills there, I'm paying them back because this is money that I intended to spend already. And so it was a no-brainer for me to get those bonuses. So I would say that's what I do. So number 1 is, be mindful of what you're spending. Number 2 is always get bonuses. Number 3 is the impact of one credit card is the same as opening 5 cards. So I just go ahead and open 5 cards. Now, I know some of you may say, oh, but if you open 5 cards, your age of credit reduces. That's true, but that's temporary because at the end of the day, what happens is your score comes back up again. I'm telling you from experience. I just opened like 3 in summer and it lowered my age of credit history, but yet my credit score is at 812. I think that's too high anyway, but I would say that shouldn't be a worry at all. As long as you don't have an utilization ratio there, as long as you're at 0%, I believe you are very, very much fine. Question 13. Do you have any tips on how to allocate investments. I'm interested in investing more money. Yeah, this is one thing I don't cover in my program. I I don't cover investments. I'm not good at that. I work with people who are good in this. Like I like, you know, personal finance management for me is everything but investments. I'm not good at that because I just think it requires a different level of skill sets. So I work with like investors or people who are trying to get ahead of the game, and then I partner with them to invest. So when it comes to like tips, I mean, I'll tell you the three things that I learned from Kiyosaki. It's the three things, Number one is having a business. Number two is real estate. Number three is financial products. Either of those three things that will always make you more returns. It just depends on your appetite towards risks, and it depends on your patience level. So, if you're risk averse, you probably should not go for stocks or like financial products. If you have desire for like quick returns, you might go for stocks, right? So it just depends on all those things. You have to find the balance. If you want a business, it might be long time before you get the money, but it can yield you more returns in the long run. So I wouldn't say like, go and do X, Y, Z, but I would say when it comes to investments, it comes down to three things: real estate, financial products, stocks, hedge funds, mutual bonds is all financial products. Number three is having a business. You either are having a business to invest, or you have financial products, or you're into real estate. Those will be my tips. Question 14. I am a single dad raising 3 kids on my own. I have worked hard for years and saved money for down payment for a house. Oh, congrats. However, I'm in between buying or just to continue renting. I would like to leave something for my kids. The only thing I have in terms of investment is my retirement. Is there something you recommend for me to do? I only have student loan to my name. Oh, wow. Single dad, 3 kids. You have savings for a house payment, and you want to leave something for your kids. So it sounds to me like you have an investment portfolio waiting for you when you want to retire, but then you don't know if it's enough, right? Number one. Number two is you also want to avoid a case where you're not sure if you should buy a house or you should rent. When it comes to making a choice between renting and buying, I always tell people it's a mix of logical and emotional benefits. If you are keen about leaving something for your children when you die, you should look into buying a house and then forget about the other costs, right? But when you buy a house, think about it, right? You're currently renting. But when you buy a house, think about the extra costs, maintenance costs for house ownership, other costs like taxes and insurance that come in between. Also, when you have a house, you have to think about the fact that it's going to require more things. So you're gonna like indirect costs, maybe because you have a house, you might want to buy like a bigger sofa, you buy like more lower, apart from the maintenance cost. Maintenance cost is like the lawn or like things break down. Sometimes your cost will increase because you just bought a house, right? You might need to buy like a garage, you might need to buy many things. So those are the things I would think about. Like, what apart from the mortgage cost, what other costs are you foreseeing that you're going to incur, and how will you be prepared for this when you buy the house? You always have to think about the added costs to buy the house. Now, some people don't care about that, which is fine. But then, apart from the logical cost, also the emotional piece. Is it costing you emotionally also? Because when you buy a house, you might move away from the city, unless you want to buy a big house in the city, right? Your kids' school. Could it affect your kids' school? Also, could it affect you, like your commuting around? Do you work in downtown or you work like in the suburb? Those are the kind of emotional or like, non-financial costs that come between buying a house and renting. But if you are keen on leaving something for your kids, then buying a house is a no-brainer. However, you could take it to the next level and say, if I buy a house, I may not live there. I can rent the house. So you might be living and renting, but then you buy the house and then you rent it out. So when you rent it out, it's covering your mortgage, insurance, taxes, and other maintenance. Some people like to rent in a house. So I think that's, if you are looking to leave something and you want to save money on your renting, right? Keep renting your house, but buy it and then rent it out to make more money from it. Let me know if that helps you. Question 15. I'm a married woman with 2 kids. Oh, great. 2 kids, 10 and 14. Oh, married, yeah. Our home is mostly traditional, with my husband paying all the bills. I work, but not a high-paying job. Okay. It lets me keep my money to do for myself and all sorts of upkeep. Okay. Oh, man. I secretly took a loan for my 2 kids to take a cooking class. I didn't inform my husband. I figured when they are done, they will start cooking for us, reducing the burden of cooking on me and also bringing some expertise. I'm currently paying it off based on my job, but I'm scared of my husband not knowing. Lord have mercy. This is another case of financial infidelity again. So you took this loan secretly and your kids are in cooking class. So you took the loan with the mindset that they will pay you back, right? Which is, you want to reduce your cooking burden and make your kids cook for you, but then you also want them to be a good cook, to be great cooks, which is why you pay for the class. One thing I like to say to people that engage in financial infidelity is that regardless of your reason, it's not okay to do. Instead, discuss it. So I get the fact that you are thinking ahead, like saying, oh, well, I took the loan to teach them, it's a good intention, but because it's a good intention doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. So I would say that start by, number 1, having that conversation with your husband. Because in his mind, he doesn't know that, he thinks maybe your upkeep is what is paying for it. He doesn't know that you took a loan, right? So number 1 is have that conversation with your with your husband. How can you avoid it in the future? Number 1, discuss it and bring it to light. Number 2, come with a plan. You might be surprised. Your husband might have told you. You might be surprised. Your husband might be willing to support you with the loan payments. Or if you told him, he might have even paid for it from his money. You don't know that, right? So number 2 is have a plan. Now you have a loan. You have to pay it back. You said your job is paying it off, but you don't have a high-paying job. Are you sure you can afford to keep paying it down the line? I'm not sure about your finances. Number 3 is discuss with your spouse on the next steps. I don't like it when couples engage in like secret purchases. It's not, unless you have an agreement, but it sounds to me like he doesn't know that he took the loan and he won't be happy he took the loan. So discuss with your husband and say, hey, how do we avoid this in the future? What should we do as a couple so that I, as the wife, do not secretly take loans without letting you know? Even though you took it for the right purpose, right, for the cooking class. And then number 4 is you and your spouse need to be on the same page on boundaries. This is very similar to what I talked about earlier in the session this afternoon. So number 1 is discussing it. Number 2, having a plan to pay it off. Number 3 is setting boundaries. Number 4 is, having a plan and expectations around this so that all of you are on the same page. You always want to avoid secrecy. Like it's not worth the squeeze. Like what my wife would say, the juice is not worth the squeeze, right? So keep that in mind as you work on this with your spouse. Question 16. You seem to preach a lot of frugality. Are you sure this isn't extreme or some austerity? If I work so hard, why can't I enjoy my money? I don't understand the benefit of saving or living okay. What if I die tomorrow? What happens to the money saved up? I've worked for 35 years, raised kids, and now I want to buy myself a nice car. If I was to follow your advice, then what's the point of working this hard? I feel like I want to reward myself. I only have a mortgage, no other debt. I can easily afford a $600 car payment. Should I feel guilty for treating myself to a new car? I'm 56 and have about 10 years left to retire. I feel like if I don't do this, time may run out. This is an oddball question. So, yes, I preach frugality, but I'm not extreme or austere. No, I'm not any of that because I also enjoy my money. The difference between me and other folks who are in money problems is that I have a budget for my enjoyment money. I have like a plan for my fun fund, which is what I call it, like my fun or like chill money. So I would say that you can work hard and enjoy your money. But when it comes to enjoyment, right, people tend to do it overboard. That's the problem. You can enjoy, but you don't have to do it overboard. You can enjoy your money and not have to worry about being in debt. So I think for you, you say you worked very hard for 35 years of your life. You've raised up your children. I'm not sure if your kids are all adults. You didn't say it here. But what's the point of working hard? Well, you work hard because you want to raise your kids and provide them a good life. You also work hard because when you work hard, you want to avoid retiring in fear. So it's not only about working hard and enjoying your money. There's a lot of benefits of working hard throughout your 35 years. And if you only have a mortgage and other debts, if you can afford a $600 car payment, sure, go for it, right? Again, like I said, how about budgeting your spending? Like, how do you know you can afford it? If you can afford it, because if you can afford it, maybe you can buy it, right? So I'm not going to say like, oh, don't buy this or buy that. I won't do that. Instead, I'll say, look at your income, look at your budget. How much surplus do you have? Are you paying yourself first? If you're paying yourself first, then the rest money is up for spending. So I won't say, oh, work hard, save all the money. And then you say something to like, right, if you die tomorrow, what's the point? Well, if you die tomorrow and you have money saved up, your kids don't have to worry about funeral costs. Many parents today die and then they leave their children worrying about how to pay their funeral, how to pay for the bills. Why? So if today you feel like, oh, I'm working so hard, and then what's the point? The point is that if you have the money saved up, I'm not saying you should not spend the money. Of course, you should spend your money. But I'm saying if you have the money saved up and you die tomorrow, your kids don't have to worry about that, daddy's bills. Actually, I'm not sure if you're a man or a woman. Your kids don't have to worry about your bills. And your kids don't have to worry about maybe being okay. So it's a win-win for you. The only thing is you might think, oh, well, I worked so hard and I died. I didn't enjoy my money. At the end of the day, how much money do you want to enjoy? Like, not to sound too drastic or like too holy, but there's only so much you can enjoy anyway. There's only so much you can enjoy. So I think for you not to feel guilty about your enjoyment for your work, have a budget for your normal expenses and have a plan for your chill money or like your fun money or your money for your relaxation, so that you don't feel stifled and just only saving money only. So I know that feels. Let me know what you think about that. Question 17. I'm a single 33-year-old, have about 75K in retirement. 6 months of 48K saved up. Oh, wow. And earn 200,000. Okay. I have paid off my student loan and no credit debt. Some serious goals here, man. I'm currently dating someone and it has prospects. I have no kids yet, so my money is well spent. Okay. The relationship has prospects of turning serious. I'm a little anxious because I don't want to marry someone who is not financially sound. So, to protect myself, I want to introduce the idea of a prenuptial. Oh, of a prenuptial. Okay. Okay. Although we are still very early and testing the waters, I want to bring up money matters. What do you think? Am I overthinking this? Do you recommend a prenuptial to protect myself? Okay, this is my last question because I have to jump right off and make sure that this is less than 1 hour. But kudos on keeping up your finances to date. You seem to be doing very well for yourself. That's great. And I think, I don't know if you're a woman or a man, but it doesn't matter. I would say this, once you know that this person is your girlfriend or your boyfriend, bring up money matters. It can never be too early once you're in a relationship to bring up money matters. If you are dating somebody and you are like exclusive and you are serious about your relationship, bring up money matters. These fears that you have are valid fears. Because what if your boyfriend or your girlfriend is a bad money manager? What if they have loans and you guys get married? You have to marry those finances together. So, absolutely, I don't think you're overthinking it, but I wouldn't go as far as a prenup. That's just my own opinion. I'm a Christian, so I always think like a prenup is giving you like some people say it's a way to protect your assets, but I think that when you're married, you should be together, right? You should be together and then work together to achieve your goals. I could be wrong, so think about what matters most to you. But I would say that communicate your values, your concerns to your partner. Number one. Number two, get alignment on the same page. Get to know open up to your partner. This is your, boyfriend or girlfriend. So if you're debt free, you have some retirement money, you have savings, that's good for you. You work so hard for your money. I believe that you should work hard to protect your money as long as your spouse loves you. So you and your boyfriend or your girlfriend discuss your money expectations. And then number three is, how much do you love this person, right? How much do you love them? How much do you care about them? If they are so bad in money, are you willing to overlook that money part and love them for other things that they bring to the table? And so this is a place where I can see you're single, you're 33 years of age, like I would say like you're in the medium life where you have worked very hard, and so you have like an idea of what you want to be in the future. Hence, you're trying to be careful, which I think is all valid. So what I would say to you is, again, as a wrap up, number one is there are valid concerns. I wouldn't go as far as to do a prenup, but number three is discuss your money matters. Get clear on if your boyfriend has a loan or credit card debt, whatever it is. Number four, and get alignment. Number four, alignment meaning, is that okay with you? Can you continue whatever they are? Do they share the same money values with you? If money values is very important to you and they don't share that with you, then you might have to rethink the relationship. Else, if you're fine with that, you go ahead with it. But again, kudos on that. I'll stop here for today. Thanks to all that joined. Thanks to all that will watch it after the fact. I like these questions. These are like heavy questions, so I appreciate you for trusting me to come through with my insights. I'll try my best as I usually do. And remember, when asking these questions, you are guaranteed a couple of things. One, honesty. Two is facts. Like, I won't give you things that I know is not facts. And number three is they are practical. Like, I'm not going to give you things that I know that are impossible. I won't give you tips on things that cannot be done. So, based on those three things, you can always ask me those questions. And if I don't know it, I'm honest, I don't know it. Example, investment, right? So this is not something that I'm good at, talk less of even great at. So I can't even like advise anybody on what to invest in. However, I can like point you to the right direction. But thank you so much for joining. Thank you to those that sent their questions in. I am still let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, there's still a lot more questions coming in that I have to answer, and I look forward to doing another session maybe this weekend or another time. But thank you for trusting me again, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, evening or night, and a great week ahead. Welcome to the new month, and I wish you a wonderful holiday, or better still, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance. Until next time, bye for now.